that money, dummy, do it for the love. And I'm hungry, did I mention money? Cop cars, now I need that airplane money. Hardly laugh in the ghetto, being broke ain't funny. We built for this homie, yeah, we run the streets. You see me everywhere, Jewed up, tucking the heat. I rap for the hustlers, put my life on this beat. We all we got.
What's up, Fight Fam, and welcome to Boxing Bros. I'm Caden. Now, Trill Dollar Bill's not here because he's stacking dollar bills at the moment. But before we proceed, there is a special shout out we would like to give. We'd like to give a shout out to Paul Vanderheever. And Paul Vanderheever made this for the Boxing Bros. And basically, this is some artwork that is so dope. We used it on the YouTube channel. We're going to use this. So Paul Vanderheever, I can't express like how humbling it is that you took the time to make this artwork about the Boxing Bros. And fellas, you can introduce yourself and chime in on the artwork from Paul Vanderheever.
Yeah, everybody, this is G and Paul. Salute to you. And that image, you made me look all sexy, son. You know, I'm loving the pic, man. Keep doing what you do.
Nah, yo, shout out Charles TBE, baby. And yo, that picture is dope. And yo, shout out to Paul for boosting G's confidence, man. You know.
First it was Eni Ruiz, now Paul G Rod G up. All right, so this is the podcast. Of course, you're watching us record the podcast on YouTube. The podcast will be up on all major streaming services, so check that out. The first topic we're going to dive into are comments that were made by Roy Jones Jr. And here are the comments.
How would you feel you would do in today's youthful heavyweight division? Would it be an 8th title in there?
Only one got skills and he missed the power, and that's how Tyson Fury. Now he got more skills than the rest of them got, but he lacks power. And he 6'9" with not that much power, you can't keep him off. You know what I mean? So he's tough, and he's smart. You know, he's a very smart guy. But at 6'9", you have to be a power puncher to survive because you're a big target, and you can't keep him out that big target from your problem. The rest of them wild, he's got to get by his right hand. Everybody knows that. He'll be the one that, you know, he's that guy just like Mike Tyson. You don't watch you, they get you with that right hand, you're going to have a problem. Other than that, though, you can deal with him too. The one, Anthony Joshua, he's a very athletic guy. He has power in both hands. But once again, these guys don't really know about skills and about setting people up and doing things like to take you out in that deep water trying. They don't really know how to take you out in that deep water trying. So it's like, they mostly sprint swimmers. I'm a deep water swimmer. I know how to go out in that deep water with you and make it to where you can't survive no more. So that's the only difference in me and them. So you hate to say what would happen because this is their day, not mine.
I understand.
They're shining, they're doing their thing. So you don't want to say what would happen, but it would be very difficult for them with me because my mind, my Rolodex has a lot.
Right, I understand.
All right, so
My mind.
those are the comments by Roy Jones. What are your thoughts on Roy Jones' comment saying that basically they're not skillful enough? He broke down Tyson Fury, skills, no power. Deontay Wilder just one right hand, and Anthony Joshua just doesn't have it to defeat Roy Jones in his prime. G, what are your thoughts on that?
I like his analysis. I really do. But he's bugging. And the reason why is he's just too small. Like, he has tremendous skills. But again, he's like, what, 5'11"? He's under 6 feet. So it's like he has to be extremely spectacular to go up against these giants. And it's just a hard thing to do. Like, I like what he was saying about Fury and Wilder. However, I don't necessarily believe what he's saying, especially after the last Fury performance. Like, we can pretend like, yeah, Fury doesn't have power, but he had enough power to punish Wilder. You know what I mean? So that alone, I'm like, Roy Jones, I think you got to reconsider what you're saying. Then with now I do believe with Wilder, I have to be honest, Wilder will have the most like difficulty facing with Roy Jones Jr. because I believe Roy Jones will know how to move at different angles to come in for the attack. And I think Wilder will be like frustrated for one. And then two, I don't know if he'll maintain the position, the distance to let off that right hand like he expects himself to do. So I think he'll have probably out of the three, the most difficulty will be Wilder. AJ, however, I think AJ will probably have the best chance of knocking out Roy Jones. Again, kind of what he said, AJ does have power in both hands. And another thing, AJ is actually good at fighting at close quarters as well, you know. And so AJ, who's what, 6'6", and Roy Jones is 5'11", like maybe 6 feet, I don't know. Like, that's just a major height reach disadvantage for Roy Jones. I think maybe if Roy Jones could like stay on his bike and then just tire AJ out, possibly. But let's just be real, man. These dudes punch way harder than Roy Jones. I know Roy Jones is like, oh, yo, with the power, these dudes, I could take it. I don't think you could. You know what I mean? And so it's a real dangerous thing for Roy Jones to be talking like this. But I do respect the fact that he was respectful. Like, he was respectful about the whole conversation. Like, he understands, like, yo, this is their time. I don't want to mix errors, this and the third, but this is just my opinion. And I respect that. It's just his opinion. You know, like, as a fighter, I believe you're supposed to believe you're the best. You know what I mean? Like, regardless of errors, because, you know, this is your legacy we're talking about. So salute to him for being respectful, but I think he's out of his mind.
All right, Ned.
First, I want to say when that video started off, I couldn't hear Roy Jones at all. And I know the interviewer couldn't hear him either, but he was like, yeah, I understand you. And then that last part, my mind and everything. But Roy, it's all, yeah. I get where you're coming from. You want to believe in yourself when you know, when you say you will beat these heavyweights if you were in your prime. But we all know the truth. Like G said, you're undersized. You don't match up. You don't have you don't have any advantages when it comes to fighting these guys.
He does have an advantage. He has skill, and I do believe he does have the IQ to.
In his prime, he was.
Yeah, like he just doesn't have the size. You know what I mean? That's a lot. My argument is the pure size is just, bro. There's nothing you could do in the heavyweight division today at that size.
Well, yeah. So. Yeah, I don't think he would be able to take on any of them. Maybe a Chisora. That's it. But you know, I respect that. I would say the same thing if I was asked the question. But you know, we all know the real.
So one thing I would like to highlight, because I saw another interview with the gentleman who was interviewing Roy Jones, and he tried to rope Adrian Broner into saying something negative about Floyd Mayweather. So this guy was trying to, in a way, incite some controversy with some of the questions he was asking and things of that nature. This is always the debate where you cross errors and you ask who can beat who. But sometimes, man, you just got to look at things from an objective standpoint. So that's how I'm going to come at this. I'm going to pull up BoxRec. So when you look at Roy Jones' resume, Roy Jones went to heavyweight. He fought the quiet man, John Ruiz from Chelsea, Massachusetts. Shout out to Chelsea. Shout out to John Ruiz. Shout out to champions from Massachusetts. And John Ruiz, the first Puerto Rican to become heavyweight champion of the world. Another accolade for John Ruiz. And Roy Jones beat him and became the WBA heavyweight champion of the world. Then Roy Jones went back down to light heavyweight to fight Antonio Tarver, and he won a majority decision. As you can see, the scorecards were very close. And then in the rematch, he was knocked out by Antonio Tarver in the second round. Then he fought the Road Warrior Glenn Johnson, and he was knocked out by Glenn Johnson, who had 9 losses at the time. Lost the unanimous decision in his rematch with Antonio Tarver. He lost to Joe Calzaghe. He was TKO'd in the first round by Danny Green. Lost a unanimous decision to Bernard Hopkins. I don't know if you remember that fight, G. We watched that at your place in undergrad. He was knocked out by, I don't know, Enzo Marcarinelli. Like, I don't know who that is. I don't know if you guys know who that is. And then he went on to beat some easy fighters. So when you pull up his resume, you just saw he was knocked out by guys who were less than stellar. He's knocked out by Glenn Johnson, Danny Greed, and, you know, Enzo. I don't want to butcher people's names, but the point is I don't know that guy. He knocked Roy Jones out. So that tells me Roy was chinny. In Roy's prime, Roy had the reflexes. He was elusive. He could avoid shots, so he never really got touched. Roy was so good, he did things to make the fights more difficult. He played basketball and then went in the ring on the same night and then whooped someone's behind. Roy did things that were electrifying in the ring. So you take Roy at his peak and you throw him in the ring with Tyson Fury. He's very skillful. But can he overcome Tyson Fury, who has height, reach, weight, and can move around? Like I always say here, a big fish eats a little fish. Am I saying that Tyson Fury has more skill than Roy Jones? Absolutely not. Roy Jones had more skill. He was a more exciting fighter, the whole nine. But just size, talent on alone, I think Tyson Fury would beat him. You know, Tyson Fury's margin of error is a lot higher than Roy Jones' margin of error would have been. And we know that Roy Jones could be knocked out. So then you throw him in the ring with Deontay Wilder. I think Deontay Wilder, like G said, he has the toughest time because he has one weapon. It's very easy to neutralize one weapon. And if you saw when Roy Jones fought John Ruiz, he just utilized his speed, his reflexes, and I think it would be a similar type of fight. Now, of course, the danger is Deontay Wilder has dynamite power in the right hand. So if he connected, if Tarver knocked him out, if Danny Green knocked him out, if the World Warrior Glenn Johnson knocked him out, being objective and being realistic, Deontay Wilder lands that right hand, he's knocking Roy the hell out. It just is what it is. So he's still in big danger with Deontay Wilder. And Deontay Wilder's proven he carries that power for 12 rounds. Dropped Tyson Fury in the 9th, dropped him in the 12th. So dangerous for 12 rounds. Then you got Anthony Joshua. Anthony Joshua, to me, is like taking Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury and putting them together. He's a talented boxer with power. You know, and I think, however, Roy Jones wanted to get it done, Anthony Joshua would knock him out cold to stop him. Size, speed, movement. They're not as good as Roy Jones, but they're good enough and they're bigger. Less margin of error. So that's me. And lastly, I'll just close with this. At one point, Roy Jones was supposed to fight James Buster Douglas. When he was in his prime, Roy Jones was supposed to move up to heavyweight and fight James Buster Douglas, but he didn't do it. His dad talked him out of it, right? Said it was too dangerous.
Love right there. That's called love. Yeah.
Said it was too dangerous. Said Buster might say you're risking your life in that fight. Now, if Roy in his prime pulled out of a fight with James Buster Douglas, why would I believe in 2020 that Roy in his prime would take a fight with Tyson Fury? Who do you think's better? Why do I believe Roy Jones would take a fight with Anthony Joshua? Who do you think's better? Why would I believe he would take a fight with Deontay Wilder? Who you think hits harder? At least with the right hand for sure. So, I mean, it's all nice talk, but when you break it down from an objective standpoint, I think Roy, for his size, his ability, he accomplished phenomenal things. From the weight class he started from to be able to go to heavyweight, you can't take that away from Roy. Why do you want to throw Roy in there with the Giants? Like, it's just ridiculous.
They don't love your boy. That's why. They must have forgot. Please like, share, subscribe. Follow us on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. And don't forget to check us out on all major podcast platforms. It's the Boxing Bros. Peace.
I wanna see what's on your mind. You wanna see what's on my mind. Pimpin' all the time.